The time is 6:46 p.m. Liam, would you please call the roll?
Member Shoria?
Here.
Member McLeister?
Here.
Member Owens?
Here.
Member Wyatt?
Here.
Member Matheny?
Here.
Member Orr?
Here.
And Member Warren is absent. So 6 present.
Okay, motion to excuse Member Warren.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we will begin the public comment portion of our agenda. A topic this evening is ordinance 35-2024. Liam, would you please read the title for the record?
An ordinance amending Chapter 1131, Park and Institutional District of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Canton to standardize the language and regulations of the district to other zoning district updates and better reflect community development goals and increased efficiency in land use.
Okay, this is the rewrite of section 1131, the park and institution section. This was brought before the Planning Commission, and then it is now part of the public hearing. Guess we'll just open this to the public now. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of ordinance 35-2024? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition of 35-2024?
Tough crowd.
Yeah. Final call. Okay. This will appear on the council agenda. I'll make the motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and adjourned.
The next meeting cannot begin until 7 o'clock.
Okay.
I now call to order the City Council meeting of June 10th, 2024. The time is 7 p.m. Opening prayer, Jamie.
All right, if we could rise and let us pray. God of peace, we invite you to preside over this meeting. Even if we have a different opinion, give us unity of spirit. Help us to each listen politely as others share their points of view. Help us to work as a unified team in combining ideas for a great outcome. Help us to work as a whole rather than as individuals trying to promote their own agendas. May we have a spirit of camaraderie in this room and work together for our shared mission. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Liam, will you please call the roll?
Member Wyatt?
Here.
Member Owens?
Here.
Member Cleaster?
Here.
Member Shroya?
Here.
Member Warren?
Here.
Member Matheny?
Here.
Member Orr?
Here.
7 present.
Okay. Can I have a motion and a second to approve as presented the minutes from the May 13th City Council meeting, the May 20th public hearing, Committee of the Whole, and City Council meetings, and the May 2024 Finance Report?
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Liam, did anyone sign up for public speaks?
We didn't have anybody know.
Okay, so we'll skip the preamble. And we'll head into new business. So Liam, would you please read the title of ordinance 26-2024?
An ordinance amending the zoning map of the City of North Canton to reclassify 15 parcels in the City of North Canton in accordance with the amendment procedure set forth in Chapter 1182 of the Planning and Zoning Code from their existing classifications to Main Street Center.
Okay, this is the Whitwer-Hauer rezoning. So yeah, there's 15 parcels. We talked about this in the committee. We did have the one speaker that spoke against doing it, but he didn't really give a reason why. I personally am okay with how it's written. I feel if we change one parcel, we're gonna have to change that whole plat.
And you know what, I was one who was in opposition to this and kind of wanting to listen to what he was saying, but after doing some research, he could enjoy the exact use that he's having right now with this change, so I really don't know that it affects him as much as he thinks it does, and frankly, it actually might make the property worth more, being that it is, it expands the potential uses.
Seems like it,
Yeah.
yeah.
You think he was worried about something with his rental properties? Like, was there some off effect?
He didn't say. I mean,
Yeah, he didn't say.
he came up and spoke during the public meeting portion and then, or public hearing portion and then the regular, but he didn't give a reason at all. And then I wanted to try to chase him down after the meeting and he left, so I don't know.
Well, you shouldn't chase people down.
Well, not as fast as I used to be.
That's scary. You're kind of a big guy.
Yeah. So, any other comments, questions?
I'll make a motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance 26-2024.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liam, would you please read the title of ordinance 27-2024?
An ordinance finalizing the annexation of 3 parcels owned by Walsh University on Filzer Street Northwest by establishing the zoning for the property as a residential single-family large lot, R70, and establishing the City Council voting ward as Ward 3.
Okay, this is the Filzer Street Walsh annexation, and it's also to put in Ward 3 for the voting. So, any comments, questions on this? It's pretty straightforward. You can see on the map what parcels are in there. But I will make a motion to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liam, would you please read the title of ordinance 27-2020 or 28-2024?
An ordinance amending Chapter 1136, Main Street Districts Regulations, specifically Section 1136-.12, Fences and Screening of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton in order to allow non-vinyl fencing in Main Street Center districts and to establish regulations on fence heights in all Main Street districts.
Okay, just as Liam said, it's the fence and screening in Main Street Center, and it has to do with the fence heights. We had some good discussion about this back and forth. I'm okay as it is. If anybody else has questions, comments on this. Pretty straightforward, just a cleanup.
Yeah, are we going to 4 feet or 5 feet from the original height? We're gonna go to that Serrano rule or whatever.
I believe it was 6.
6 feet,
Yeah.
no more than 6 feet.
No more than, let me verify that. Here, okay. I know I saw 6, I'm just,
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the second
now I want to
page.
see it in, yep, there we go.
Page
Yep.
1.
Yeah, 1A over there.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay. Any others? I'll make a motion that we adopt ordinance 28-2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liam, would you read the title of ordinance 35-2024?
An ordinance amending Chapter 1131, Parking Institutional District of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton to standardize the language and regulations of the district to other zoning district updates and better reflect community development goals of increased efficiency and land use.
Okay, this is the Parks and Institutional, we just had the very vibrant or public hearing on this. Any comments, questions on this? I really think that it's really only going to affect potentially our park properties and potentially Walsh. Walsh hasn't really spoke against it, and if they're, I was talking to Liam, if they're going to build a residence hall or something like that, they would probably do something through ZBOA on that anyway, so I don't think this restricts them. I don't think it restricts any of us really, so it just kind of clears things up. So I'm gonna make a motion that we adopt ordinance 35-2024.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Liam, would you please read the title of ordinance 48-2024?
An ordinance authorizing the appropriation of funds of the City of North Canton to be appropriated for current expenses during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024.
All right, Finance, Stephanie.
Okay, we're just keeping our budget straight. Do you want to talk about that, Gina?
We can run through the appropriation amendments
If you don't
like.
care.
We are requesting to add $1,250 for tuition reimbursement in the police department. This is part of the whole program, but the officer decided to take summer classes, so it's just less we'll pay for next year and more we'll pay for this year. The police received $1,100 in donations. The fire received $105 in donations, so we need appropriation to allow them to spend that. We had some vacation sick leave payouts. We need additional money in the 214 payout fund. Capital improvements, $175,000 for Charlotte Street to finish Charlotte Street Roundabout, and $48,000 to replace trees on Woodrow. And then the water administration, we have the intern that is helping us with the water service line project. We're requesting 2 more months to pay her wages to finish the project before Labor Day.
Any questions or concerns? We had all that last week, so now you've heard it twice, only 5 more times and you'll remember. I motion to adopt the first reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liam, would you please read the title of ordinance 49-2024?
An ordinance amending Chapter 513, Drug Abuse Control, specifically Section 513.16, Medical Marijuana, of the codified ordinances of the City of North Canton in order to prohibit the cultivation, processing, and sale of cannabis within the City of North Canton, Ohio.
All right, John, ordinance rules.
Okay, we, as it's proposed now, we don't want the dispensaries here in the city. With the tight rules, I think there's only about a certain number of locations where they could be within the city. I think maybe 3 to 5, something like that. That's basically it. You have anything to add, Dan, on those?
So with the present state law, there is a 10% excise tax, at which the 36% that's authorized by the state would be returned to the city. So we don't have any ability to tax anything beyond effectively 1.5% is effectively what we would get from dispensaries. So it would be negligible at a retail base, especially for the amount that we would be able to get. So with the current zoning and everything, based on the maps that Ben had provided at the previous committee, where we could put them would limit us to 1 or 2 dispensaries in the entire city. So with the effective taxes that we would get would be negligible on, authorizing this and putting one in the city.
When you say negligible, Liam, what kind of dollars do you think that estimate would be if they're projecting fifth year revenue of over $400 million to the state?
So
36% of that's what?
So as a whole, so it's looking at, based on House Bill 168, that would reduce our effective share down to that 1.25%. So say a store did $1 million in sales that year, our current share at $36,000 would be reduced to about $12,000, depending on how that state law goes. So they could be favorable to begin with and then whittle it down later, or it could stay favorable up of the higher figure, but it will still likely not be enough to justify that expense basically of putting in the store and what it would be to the community and anything extra that would incur.
So issues like the funding coming back, the jobs that it creates, number of positions that it holds, the 1.5% tax rate for the employees, the 1.5% of profit that they generate, we're in essence telling landlords that they cannot put a dispensary in their strip mall or whatever the case may be. I have concerns about that because even though we don't allow medical dispensaries right now, we can change that. And somebody that has a medical dispensary and then gets a license to do recreational, I heard a figure of upward of $70,000 for that license. I see that as no different than a state store, and that nobody's going to be able to purchase recreational marijuana unless they're over to the age of 21, and those locations are going to card those people. They're not going to risk losing their license for that. So we say we're concerned about the element of marijuana, but 51% of the residents of North Canton, the majority of the residents of North Canton, told us that yes, they want recreational marijuana, and we're telling them, the 7 of us is telling them, well, yeah, but you can't have it in North Canton. I'm not sure that's the right signal that we want to send. And when you talk about the youth getting access to marijuana, they're probably already those that want to have access to it. But the active chemical in marijuana is THC, which THC vape pens are available at stores, gas stations, all these other locations, and that's where the kids are getting it. We don't have any regulations on that. If we put this in place, a medical and recreational dispensary, then we take charge of that because they can't be located within a couple of miles of each other. Is that correct? Is it 1 mile or 2?
I believe it's at least 1 mile.
Okay, so right now, there's an empty building where CVS was, north of Orion. Could easily be a dispensary. It's Plain Township. They could have a dispensary. Most people think that that's North Canton. And at this point, our police have no control or jurisdiction there. Whereas if it's in the city of North Canton, the police have access to it. Just down here on Market, the Marathon Station and McDonald's, there's a little strip mall behind that. That's Plain Township. That could easily be a dispensary. And again, we don't have control over that. I'd like to see us go down the path of allowing medical, because if you know of anybody that has been in need of medical marijuana for their health, cancer patients that need to add to their appetite, we're telling them that you can't get it in North Canton. You've got to go somewhere else to get the medication that you need for your health. Again, the recreational side of that, nobody's gonna walk in there underage and leave with medical marijuana, or marijuana in that case. So I'm thinking that if we add that to the area where we have control, we have signage control in North Canton, we have control of the police in terms of where they are patrolling and where they are needed, I don't see this as being a major issue. I see this as being restrictive to what the residents of North Canton have asked us for.
I'd like to interject a little bit here, because what was on the national ballot was not dispensaries. It was the constitutional right to recreationally use marijuana. There's a huge difference between the two of those. I mean, that would,
Dispensaries availability. If we don't allow the availability in North Canton, I think that it's gonna end up right on our border, and it's gonna give
it
our
already
police,
is.
it's gonna give our police less control, it's gonna give our residents less availability. And a landlord can still choose. As a commercial landlord myself, I can choose who I allow to rent in any one of my buildings. We're taking that right away from the landlord. We're saying you can't put this in your
So
strip
you
mall.
can't for a bar unless it's already approved on a ballot.
And have a license
Right.
to put it in there.
But how has that served us? I feel like the fact that you can't come and put in a bar, that we're dry, that you have to go on the ballot, that's one of our biggest economic development issues.
I agree
mean,
100%
Agree
with
so
that.
why would we, and we know, like, in order to reverse that, I mean, it's not easy, otherwise we would be trying to do
Yeah.
it, right? Every precinct has to vote in
Yeah.
favor of that.
And I think that's
So-
something we should pursue.
We should, no doubt.
Right.
Totally agree, but why do we want to go down the path of prohibiting this? And then let's say, you know, marijuana in 20 years, are we going to be like, crap, now we have to go and get every precinct to approve allowing this? I don't know if that's how it would be changed, but what are we afraid of, I guess?
I
don't-
guess, well, I'm sorry, I guess for me, I don't see much of an upside. So yes, we could get some minimum wage workers, and we could get some income tax from those folks. I'm concerned that if you do the research, that these businesses, because it is illegal on a federal level, that these businesses are largely cash heavy, and then they have product that might be itself target for theft. So I don't think that the people that are necessarily shopping there are bad people, but I think that they might be targeted by bad people who might want to get the cash. A lot of these businesses are left out of the banking system, so that's partly my concern. I could almost get to medical marijuana. I think that there are uses that are beneficial with medical marijuana. I just don't know about jumping that and going to recreational first. And certainly, as the federal government deregulates marijuana, I would get behind it at that point in time. But I just think the risks are a little too heavy right now. And then also, we don't know, from what I've told, understand from conversations with Ben, and Liam, you might interject, or maybe even Catherine or the mayor, the way that I understand it is that that's not cut in stone. So it might sound like we've got this carrot dangled in front of us for additional income from the state. That might not materialize. So I just think that there's a lot that we don't know just yet. And frankly, if that were to materialize, heck, let's come back and talk about it again. But it just seems like a step too far when I can't open up a restaurant and serve wine without going on the ballot. But hey, let's bring in a marijuana dispensary.
I think one of the huge underlying factors is, right now, THC is not controlled by the state.
And it will
So
be
different
soon.
levels are not. So you could go in and you could get an alcohol equivalency of getting like a shot of bourbon versus a shot of 3.9% beer. And there's no distinction in marijuana right now. It is, here you go. It's all open to you. You can get something with THC of a very low percent or something that will knock you out.
So an adult needs to make that choice. An adult over the age of 21, we're telling them that they're not allowed to make that choice in North Canton, that they don't have access.
Well, that's-
But we know where
that's
that
not-
goes. It goes to the kids and all that other stuff. So are we gonna open a recreational marijuana place where we currently prohibit medical?
I
But
want to
real
go down the
quick-
path of allowing medical I want to change that ordinance. But if this goes through, changing that ordinance isn't going to help the process because an individual or the corporations that are going to be opening up these dispensaries is not going to open up a dispensary for recreational if they don't have access to the medical to go with it.
So along
they're
with
not gonna be
that,
delineated
if
between-
those
yeah.
are no longer per state law
Right.
delineated, so there won't be a medical facility.
It's just-
for
it's-
recreation.
It's a
the
business
same.
decision.
Right.
It's a business decision on who your customer base is going to be.
But, so, one thing I do want to add in, this is not saying that any average citizen in North Canton cannot have marijuana. In fact, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the state law allows you to have a certain number of plants growing at your
Yeah.
house. You can also purchase it outside the city of North Canton. This is just simply saying
We
that.
don't want our residents to have access in North Canton. We don't want to allow that
Well,
business.
no.
No,
They can
that's
have
not even
access.
true. They can have as much access as they want. Ours is, we're limiting the sale of it inside our city limits.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand your concerns. I just see this as 7 people at this dais telling adults what they should or shouldn't do. And you can drink responsibly, you can partake in other recreational things responsibly. I'm not going to be the one to tell them what their decision should be in this case.
I don't think we should ignore the other 48% who said no to the recreation. They have a voice too in this. And I don't think just because it's 51% is a mandate to go forward with allowing the recreational dispensary.
Well, and there's a huge, to your point, there's a huge difference between the constitutional right of using marijuana and having it in your city. There's 2 totally different things. I know a lot of people that voted for the constitutional right to use marijuana. I was one of them. Do I want it in my community? When it's federally illegal? No, I don't. Because and here's another thing, I do accounting for dispensaries. And their number one cost is security. And it's because they don't have any place to do banking. So they are cash heavy. What happens is they get targeted. They specifically are targets for armed robbery. Do we want that in our city when it's federally illegal and there's that gap? I don't. I mean, sorry. And the people I've talked to, my constituents, overwhelmingly said no. Have you guys talked to your constituents specifically about dispensaries?
Yes.
I've been contacted about this more than anything else, so
And they're saying they want it.
they're like,
Okay.
why did you vote against this? And I'm like, number one, all we did was move it from committee to the agenda.
Yeah.
So then, I did kind of a deep dive, and I mean,
How many people have contacted you? I've had 2 people contact me, and I've talked to about 7.
Yeah, I've had
Not
4.
one of them were for it.
4 contact me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like Michigan, from 2023, is distributing $87 million to 269 municipalities. So of course, that gets split up between those, but $87 million, like,
We could designate those funds to go wherever we want them to go. We could establish a fund for just parks for all the money that comes from the state and fund that specifically with that.
How about this? When do we know, when are they going to vote on that, Liam? Do we have any idea?
There are multiple proposals, multiple House bills for multiple different taxations.
Right,
To
because,
change-
because to that point, I could go down to the convenience store tonight and buy a Powerball ticket and maybe be a billionaire. Don't know. Why don't we wait till we have something in writing? If this is something that for sure, we know what we're voting. We don't know what we're voting on right now is my point. It could be nothing.
Could be something. And I think our window of opportunity to exclude is very narrow.
There's 4 businesses in Canton. If you want to try and go get dispensaries, and they're licensed with the Ohio Department of Commerce and 4. I'm trying to understand, how does this bring the vitality and attract families and businesses to our community if we don't have them? Yeah, explain to me how that's going to be a viable project to have a business that might have, 10, maybe 12 employees? Okay, I'd rather have 10 or 12 employees in another type of business. And I'm just trying to figure out, we're about 6 square miles, okay? If you want adult products, okay, sex toys and stuff, go right up to Plain Township. There's a business right there. It's not in the city. And yes, that business over there is right on the verge of Plain Township, okay? Okay, if you want to go to, you know, I mean, if that's what you want, I don't want that in our community. That's all, that's the way I feel. I still feel that marijuana, after tobacco and alcohol, is still a gateway drug. And I don't think, I understand there's risk and benefits to marijuana. I still think that is still a discovery. It's still in process as to what the benefits will be. But I also see the risk of it from, you know, there's health risk concerns. And I find it's a paradox how, from my background, how I went after grants for drug education, okay? And yet now I'm going to allow a recreational dispensary in our community. But yet I'm finding, I've got to fight to get a grant money of $10,000 or $12,000 to provide drug education, you know, in a preventive. There's a paradox there to me.
With some of these funds, the state's gathering is also going into those education funds for drugs, because the issue here is that you're bringing up is kids use, or those under the legal age use, whereas the conversation with the dispensary and a medical marijuana is for individuals and they are adults.
I understand, over 21.
Right.
And they're gonna have to be carded when they're
Right, so
No offense, but I don't trust the state of Ohio to distribute any funds to us the way that they fund us with our infrastructure, and how we operate to begin with is completely underfunded. So I don't have any faith
in
that
Michigan
this goes
distributed-
forward.
Well, Michigan,
Distributed
87 million.
240 some.
87
Yeah, I got that,
million.
right, yeah.
and it's, I've been past those dispensaries in Michigan. They're in Traverse City, Grand Rapids, Battle Creek, Ann Arbor. You wouldn't even know they're there.
And consumers will decide whether or not a store survives based on whether or not there's enough volume.
Plus,
The 87 million in Michigan, I'm sorry, John, the 87 million in Michigan, over what period of time is that? Is
That's
it-
a year.
That's a year? Okay. And so we have 88 counties in Ohio, right? So maybe $1 million to each county, you divide that up amongst all the cities? I mean, okay, it's money.
There's less than 1,000 cities and municipalities in the state of Ohio. There's about 1,200 and some communities that might be considered, like a Jackson Township might be considered, but there's only 980 some actual cities.
56, no, 926 municipalities in
Okay.
Ohio.
Thank
You're
you.
telling me that this is gonna attract families to our community?
I did not say
Because we
that.
have this? I mean, let me say, am I gonna understand that this is another attribute of our city that we can advertise for businesses to locate here and for families to come and be a part of our community because we have this available for them?
Is Eric something that, I mean, I just think like 50 years ago, we would have said this about alcohol, right?
Yeah, okay.
So, and now we're in a place where it's very difficult to change our mind. And I think we would change our mind if we could, if I can't speak for the seven of us. If I could vote to change our mind and not be dry, I would do that right now. But we
That's a
can't do
separate
that.
issue, I think.
I don't know that it is. I'm thinking
But it
in
wasn't
10
federally
years
illegal.
where, yeah, I hear you, Jamie, but
Yeah. And I hear
just
you
think
too.
It's still a society issue, and there's health concerns that I guess I look at it internally more, that what recreational marijuana, you know, just marijuana use. I just don't, I just don't understand how
But the majority of North Canton residents feel that
yeah, but 48% said no.
But that's constitutional, it's not apples to apples, it's like comparing a raisin to a watermelon.
I'm sorry. I
People-
don't understand
people
that
believe-
analogy. I don't know.
You know, do we have the ability to,
It was the
Again,
constitutional right. I mean, the legislation is totally different than, do you want a dispensary in your community? 100% different.
do we have the ability to, and I guess I'm looking towards Liam, to find out a little more as far as when they expect to vote on that and have some sort of finality? I
There's
mean,
4 bills pending,
Yeah.
there's 4 House bills pending.
4 House bills pending?
And
Yeah,
who
kind of
knows when
speculative right now.
that
Yeah.
might come in.
I mean,
If they're gonna approve it in late June or early July, I don't know.
right,
So what is the urgency with this?
yeah,
right
that's
now?
what I was just gonna ask.
When we were talking, what were you saying?
Liam, don't we have a window of opportunity to opt out?
Not necessarily, it would be, easier to start on the hard end and repeal from there. So it'd be easier to become more lax than, say, if we permit it and a business establishes itself, it's sort of grandfathered in on any new regulations that we would put out.
Well, and that's a good point. Do we, because I will absolutely have the conversation with you, Dave, if this is, but right now, from what I'm hearing, I'm a no. But maybe that changes down the road. If it becomes federally deregulated, okay, sure.
That's a complete
But
game changer.
It's a complete game changer, but what if we just move forward with this now and see what the state comes up with? I mean, again, we don't know what it could be a goose egg,
Well, places like Denver, Colorado,
That's so, and when you say Denver and Colorado, I'm very familiar with how the law changed several times there.
Okay.
And I do accounting for 8 dispensaries there. Their number one cost is security.
Okay.
Because they are targets of armed robbery. Very specifically.
Well, when you go into business, you're gonna have certain high expenses, low expenses, so that's known to the people going into that business. that
But it's
they're gonna
also
have
known to a community.
Yes.
Well, most of I believe, I heard something on the media, more people are smoking marijuana than drinking alcohol today.
But
What do you think?
this doesn't take their right to smoke
Right.
marijuana away.
Doesn't take the right away to
Purchase it somewhere else.
purchase it, yeah.
The bottom line is it's just, you're in a position to just determine what's best for our community. And you have to think and talk to your constituents, what is best.
Well, my constituents
the
have
best
called, I've had
interest of
5
our
calls,
community.
and I've reached out to maybe 5 to 10. And I think the majority of it would want this to happen in North Canton. They vote, they pay taxes, there's some guys that are 70 years old, I think and plus, the longer we wait, there's gonna be opportunity where more dispensaries might open in Canton, there could be in Lyon,
That's fine, people can go shop in Canton.
Yeah.
Well, you don't wanna say that to your public, if you wanna buy, go to North.
If you want Red Wing shoes and they don't sell them in North Canton, where are you gonna go? Okay,
To
I
the
know
nearest
that's not a good analogy.
No, but it's an analogy, it's.
There used to be a Red Wing store on Main Street.
Right on Main Street. I don't see how, I guess I'm very stubborn
Yeah,
on the vitality.
you wanna help the 48%, but what about the 51?
Well, the 48% that says we don't need. But 51 is not a mandate though.
But again, yeah, we're not outlawing marijuana in the city of North Canton.
Dispensaries.
Well,
If you wanna grow it, you can have it. If
Right.
you wanna go
I-
buy it in
I
Canton, you
wouldn't
can
grow
have
it, I wouldn't smoke it, I tried it when I was 18 and same with cigarettes, no.
I just see it as one more harmful substance that's in our community that costs more than the revenue and it's gonna generate, that's all.
Did you inhale?
You all have to decide.
I was gonna say that.
I had to ask.
But if you feel that this is for the greater good of our community, and you can go out and you can tell that to the public, okay? This is gonna be good, the greater good of our community to have this in here for us. And it's gonna generate so much revenue and things like that, then I guess that's your message. I don't know. I'm not gonna put words in your mouth, I'm just saying, you know where I'm coming from, okay? And,
I want to know how we overturn it, how we change it. If we decide eventually that we would want to allow them, what are the steps to do that?
So that would just be a separate ordinance of repealing it.
It would just
The-
be an ordinance.
Yeah,
So I
so
think-
the way that we repeal
yeah.
anything else.
And, if it becomes federally legal and banking can provide service for these people where it's not an active target, I think what we would do is we go and do an ordinance to repeal medicinal or medical and recreational as one ordinance together to do it. I think that would be the step to do correctly. But I mean.
And so if we do
it's-
nothing right now, they can start putting them up?
I don't know the urgency of
I
this,
forget the
honestly,
date.
but,
There
yeah.
is a date that
I mean,
if
that's
there
what
is
I'm a little
nothing.
confused.
I mean, they're
about.
planning to start late June.
So the current way that the state law is set up is that if you don't prohibit it, it is permitted.
Okay.
So for this ordinance, if we did not pass this ordinance, it would be permitted in the city that they could establish it. Now, we don't have any zoning or anything set up specifically for that, so that's a different can of worms. But as it specifically related to how we have this set up, it would be permitted if this did not pass. And then there's the whole repeal of the medical thing, because technically it's prohibited by that whole medical recreational delineation issue.
You know, the other thing to think about is, this is only the first reading. We're gonna read this 2 more times. Maybe people can come and they can sway some opinions, they can share some facts. Maybe something will happen down in Columbus before then, but I mean, we're gonna be talking about this 2 more times.
That'll take us into June.
Yeah?
Can we get an estimate? Like, can you do some research on, what's that?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is June.
We don't
But
have any-
as to where the,
July.
you know, where the passings of these bills are gonna be, because what happened in Colorado is it changed 20 times. Like they had, you know, here it is, you're gonna get so much money, and all these people were so on board for it, and then it changed. And they got a quarter of what they were supposed to get. So, I mean, can we get an estimate of when these are gonna pass? I mean, is this a money play for all of us? Is that what we're looking for? Do we care whether, you know, constitutional right or not, or is it a money play? I don't know.
I think there's several
Well,
options at play here.
millions.
There's the money side of it. There's the fact that a business person that owns real estate should be allowed to lease to any legal business that they choose, and that it's not our role to tell them that it's legal in the state, but it's not legal for you to have. And I think that the adult residents of North Canton should have access to items that are legal to them within their community.
And I think in Dave's same vein here, we should look into not being dry anymore. Because right now, can't rent your commercial real estate space to somebody who wants to open up a bar or a restaurant if they want to serve alcohol. Same situation.
We just
Another
can't
thing
make
on our
that
list of
decision.
things.
We
Now, with-
can't do that ourselves.
With the dry debate, there would be the whole, you know, we're still limited by our population, it would just be a matter of we wouldn't have to take it to the ballot.
Right, right.
But, so along with the bills, Catherine said that there are 4. So among those 4, that could change how that current 36% and everything is set up. House Bill 86 would eliminate the local government share, but allow us to enact our own 3% tax.
Of course.
Which we would have to enforce, do the collections for and everything.
So it becomes
House
negligible.
Bill 345 would keep the 3.6% levied by the state that it's then returned to us. So that's a whole state collects remits to us. House Bill 341 would reduce that share to 1.9%, and then House Bill 168 would reduce the share to 1.25%. So, looking at that same
So
store,
predictable.
that we say does $1 million in sales a year,
I knew they would change.
taking that $36,000 share at the low end down to $12,500, and then say they have 2 full-time employees that make $20 an hour, assuming a 10-hour workday. Our profit, or with their net profits and everything, and their income tax, we'd be looking at about $5,000 a year in income tax, and then whatever we get in that excise tax, anywhere from $12,500 to $36,000. So, on the high end, probably no more than $40,000 based on current writings, or lower.
And that's exactly what I thought it would be. I mean, I realize that we have a reoccurring revenue concern, but my gosh, are we getting out of bed for $36,000 a year with all the headaches it may bring?
Because it would, based on those numbers in that legislation, increase with the number of dispensaries that you have. But because of our zoning and the state law that prohibits it from being built within 500 feet of government buildings, parks, churches, basically anything of public interest, we're severely limited in the number of places that we could put it. Basically,
Hackney Plaza.
Main Street North, the south, South Gate. There's a little patch over by Pittsburgh, and that's pretty much about it.
Can we designate a district as a marijuana district? Like a Dora?
North Main District.
We
Puts it furthest
Dawa,
away,
what we call it?
420 zip code.
puts it furthest away from the schools. Mayor's concern with children, which I don't see as apply here. But it also allows for Plain Township or Jackson Township to not have one on our border, which creates even bigger problems if there's going to be a problem.
I don't know how that creates a
Yeah,
bigger problem.
I don't think it's a problem for
Inside our
us.
city limits, I mean, I
Yeah.
think you're, in putting it in your ward, how do you feel about that? Where it would be in Plain Townships, it would probably affect.
I mean, yeah, I
Plain
mean, if it's
Township
in
more
Plain
than-
Township, it's Plain Township's problem. If it is a problem, my concerns, again, about the problems would be, it's a cash-heavy business that might be an attractive nuisance to somebody for robberies. And if it's in somebody else's jurisdiction, let their police department handle it, so.
Chief, what do you think? See you back there. It's working.
I have officers that instruct there.
Yeah,
I have concerns of straw purchasing.
Of what?
That-
straw purchasing.
Oh,
Same thing with alcohol. Oh, that's one of my biggest concerns, straw purchasing. The more easy the access is to it, more likely somebody's gonna get their older sibling or friend to go purchase it for it. I have been informed I'm out of touch by my school resource officers because a lot of it now is the oils and everything that comes out of the vapes, which is more easily to conceal. So when you're straw purchasing, we don't catch it as quick. So if we have the establishment in town, we get the reputation for the establishment that's providing that to youth.
And you know what, the oils, I'm assuming you mean actually marijuana oil, that's currently how they do the medicinal marijuana in Ohio, and, I wonder how they're getting
The
that.
dispensaries would sell the oil as well.
Yeah.
They do.
Well, no, right now, if that's what the kids are using, I don't think a kid's going to the dispensary and saying they got back problems and wanting a card, but,
We're
Straw
limiting
purchases.
adult uses.
yep.
And just to further with the zoning map and everything, I did pull this up for you guys. On your screen, there is the map that Ben had drawn up of the rough zoning and how the designations would be. So up here is our Main Street North gateway, so up here would be like the Marks Plaza and Acme, and then down here would be, your South Gateway in the vicinity of like Whole Latte Love, and then the little patch of general business over here by Pittsburgh. Is just about the only places in the city that would be viable locations.
That
we can
south
adjust-
gateway section, is that Ward 3? Down there,
Would be.
on that side of?
Yeah.
So Ward 3, for me, Ward 3 voted the issue down altogether. Ward 3 voted no on issue 2. So, I mean, that whole available area right there is in a ward that voted against it.
But we can zone accordingly. Can be a approved use in North Main Street and not an approved use in South Main Street District.
I mean, doesn't that go against your argument of limiting business owners and selling it? Specific ones are allowed to, but if you're in a different district, you're not allowed to?
Melissa said her ward was against that.
That's
Well,
not
and
my
that,
point.
I mean, that was your
That's
argument
not what you
earlier,
said.
though. You were saying 51% of residents voted yes for it. So you were saying will of the voters earlier. So that's what I'm saying is, what more percentage of Ward 3 voted no than yes? So that little turquoise box is in an area that said no. So if we're following the will of the voters logic, then I have to vote no to that because my ward said no to the issue altogether. Not just this specific issue, but the whole issue
Well,
altogether.
constitutional right issue.
Right.
And I can respect that you're voting on behalf of the residents of your ward, looking for a compromise making it available to the adults and those with medical needs in North Canton, and then allowing business owners to rent their property and businesses to locate here if they deem that it would be profitable for them. Nobody's going to start a business if it's not going to be profitable for them.
Well, what if we
Are
just?
you advocating for a medicinal use or recreational use?
I think it should be both. I think we should repeal the medicinal one. I think we should add the recreational one. And then I think we should zone it to the North Gateway. And now we've met the 51% of the voters, we've met the responsible of adults, and we've helped those that are in need of medical marijuana or those derivatives in our community, without forcing them to have to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm going to
Maybe
go
their
back.
health would prohibit it.
I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. We got 2 more readings of this. I would implore residents of Ward 1 to give me a call, send me an email. Better yet, come and speak at the next city council meeting. Let's hear from the residents if this is something that they really truly want
In their neighborhood.
in their neighborhoods, in their neighborhoods.
And not the constitutional
Constitutional
right.
right.
We
Yeah,
want
again,
totally different.
and again, yeah, they are constitutionally allowed to grow plants on their own. They can purchase it in other municipalities. This, what we are talking here, is not eliminating that. It is specifically for having an
Physical
establishment
location.
that would have a
Right.
physical dispensary here in town. And I think I've been very clear on the reasons why I'm against it, and I appreciate, the reasons why, you seem to be for it, Dave, and Christina, I appreciate your points of view, but I guess with that, I would just simply say, we got 2 more readings. Let's not continue to belabor this. Let's just vote it one way or another right now. We're gonna hear about it 2 more times, so, this is not the finale, this is not the end of it. So,
I'll make a motion that we put it to the vote.
To what?
Well, I'll make a motion that, for
To
the
move
first
it.
reading.
Adopt the first reading.
Adopt the
Okay,
first
all right.
reading.
Destroy seconds. All in favor?
aye.
Nay?
Opposed?
Nay.
2, 3, let's get a roll call vote on that.
Okay. Member Wyrick?
Nay.
Member Owens?
Yes.
Member Cleister?
Yes.
Member Shorta?
Yes.
Member Warren?
Yes, it just bothers me that there's 4 different amendments out there for this. They don't know what they're doing.
There will be more.
Member Atheny?
Nay, so we know what we will be doing.
Member Orr?
Nay.
We don't know what we're gonna be doing.
Motion carries 4-3.
There will be
2 more
5
readings.
more House bills before this is all over. I'm telling you, it's just the track record of how these things work. Liam, will you please read the title of ordinance 50-2024?
An ordinance amending Chapter 1709, Health and Sanitation of the Codified Ordinances of the City of North Canton in order to establish regulations for the keeping of bees within the City of North Canton.
All right, let's talk about these, John.
The other buzz. Liam, last week in Committee of the Whole, we talked about the bees and too close, and we heard all the facts and stuff of that nature. I wanted to ask a question. Of those 7 or 8 beekeepers that we have in the city, would any of them be grandfathered to have more of the hives?
So with it being a property code, that's not really something that gets grandfathered in, so they would be subject to the new regulation.
And of those 7 or 8 beekeepers, how many are in violation of our new code?
That, I don't have any specific numbers for. I don't know, Catherine, if you have any data or anything.
Just the one that you complained. And like we said before, this is similar to the chicken ordinance.
Right.
It was, we didn't know until somebody called and said, heavy smell coming from my neighbor's house, which is so close to me, and found out they had a lot, and that they had to put a limit. So,
Any other discussions on this?
Appreciate the research that you did into this, Liam, being very specific and reaching out to professionals on that. I think it's a very comprehensive ordinance, spelled out in detail. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Motion to adopt the first reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liam, would you please read the title of ordinance 51-2024?
An ordinance establishing a flat fee to be charged to any public or private medical facility, healthcare facility, or custodial care center that summons the North Canton Fire or EMS Department to provide lifting assistance for one of its patients or residents.
Okay, personnel and safety. Good.
So this fee of $250 is similar to what Jackson Township is currently charging. I believe this is to not be a penalty, but a motivator in some cases to make sure that facilities have the proper lifting equipment at their facility. There's multiple kinds of lifts, airbag lifts. There's lifts on what looks like, in my world, a automotive car lift that helps patients get back up into their bed. I know our EMS is extremely fast at getting the locations, but that patient's still on the floor waiting for them. And there is a fee associated and a cost associated with that we should pass on to the facility. I wanted to make sure, though, that the invoicing will go to the facility and not the individual.
So, as it's set up, it will be billed directly to the care facility. So, if it's a treatment with injury, so if they're treating something else, that's a completely different beast entirely that involves the insurance and everything that would be covered. This would just be for the extenuating circumstances where there's nothing else other than just getting somebody up off the floor.
Correct. If an injury is there, definitely 911 needs to be called in.
And we did a little bit of digging in between 2016 and 2020 for the calls to these facilities. I mean, there were some frequent flyers. Some of them had up to almost half of the calls that they made were just lift assist. The majority of which without
How many would that be?
I don't have them
10,
back
30?
in front of me this week, but there
Yeah.
was, I think it was somewhere in the vicinity of 600 calls
No,
were just
sure.
for lift
Yeah.
assist.
Yeah.
During the COVID period, too, there was a lot of staffing issues, and I understand that, making sure that nobody gets injured when lifting a patient. But again, making sure that the facilities have the proper equipment at their facility to lift a patient that's not injured from the fall is very important.
This is almost supplementing a business. So,
And absolutely, it was, there's facilities that designed their methods of calling and how they dealt with personal staffing based on, hey, we can call the EMS.
right.
That's why you see so much legislation around us that has been passed specifically for this. So I'm a huge proponent of this. That's why I requested it.
How many nursing homes do we have in the city roughly?
We're qualified for, right, Gina? Gina and I know God willing saying 4, possibly 5, 6, currently. It can't be the independent living.
Because they come to North Canton, and relocation and stuff, but if more came into the city, that would put a lot more,
You have to be nursing homes.
nursing homes, 2 or 3 homes more, can our EMS handle that?
And remember, if they transport them, then it no longer is lift assist, it is then a transport, so.
As it should be.
Yes.
Correct.
Any other comments, thoughts?
No, I think it's a good idea.
Make a motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance 51, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liam, would you please read the title of ordinance 51-2024?
We just did that.
52.
Yeah.
Oh, typo, Liam. Damn. 52. That's all right.
A resolution for the submission of the question of a replacement and increased tax levy for the purpose of providing for the general construction, reconstruction, resurfacing, and repair of streets, roads, and bridges under ORC Section 5705.19, Section G, in the city of North Canton, Stark County, Ohio.
Okay, street and alley.
Yeah, so this is submitting the question for the replacement and increase tax levy on the ballot for roads. And we asked a bunch of questions when we decided to go this direction. We have Rob here. So that's a great time if anybody has more questions to ask about this.
And everybody go at once.
Yeah.
I think we understand.
Rob, if you don't talk, we're gonna ask you about the roundabout.
What I would like to ask you a question. I had a constituent talk with me about this the other day, and I didn't know the numbers, like the facts and figures to quote numbers as well. So just talk about a little bit, if you don't mind, the difference between the 1 mil and 2 mil with the economies of scale thing, like how much we could pave at 1 versus what we might be able to do at 2.
Right, I think the auditor said, Gina, that this levy as written would bring in just a shade over $1 million a year. And had we done just the 1 mil, let's say that's about $500,000 a year. But asphalt's kind of, it's not really a direct ratio like that. There's a big economy of scale built into paving, because there's a cost to bring that contractor to town, to get him working, and then, you know, once they're there, once the equipment's there, and then you keep adding tonnage to it, it really brings that cost per ton down. It is, you know, simple economics, economy of scale, but it's really prevalent, and the paving companies have told me that. And if you look at historically our bids throughout, you know, the last number of years, the larger programs, you get a better price. Or if you look at our neighbors or whatnot, it's just simple mathematics. So it's not a direct proportion. Okay, we're doing, instead of $500,000, we're doing $1 million, so now we can do double. And it's probably more than that. So, and then we try to do things as well, and we've talked about it a lot in the past. Try to do things in bunches, you know, rather than paying that contractor to drag that equipment all over town for a street here, a street there, a street here. Let's try and get 3 or 4 in one street. Even if one street it needs it, but could we milk another year or so out of it? Maybe. But let's get it now and take advantage of that, you know, less mobilization costs. I'd rather pay these folks when they're here to be paving, not dragging equipment around. So we've really tried to do that with paving in the last few years.
Thank you.
That helps answer.
It does, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, when you think about going to the taxpayers and asking them to pay a little more, if the idea is we collect a little bit more, but we're able to deliver a lot more value for you, that
Right.
tracks, I think, with what
Right.
the decisions that people would make in their own budgets.
Right. And even, you know, let's say we're heavy in one ward the first year. Then maybe the next year, we're heavier in another ward. I mean, we'll eventually get there and it'll distribute it out, but really want to try and lessen that cost of just simply moving equipment around. I mean, I realize we can't do it all in one ward, but you know, some of our neighbors, larger cities, they spend more time and money doing pavement evaluations and things like that, because they have 11 ward councilmen and things like that. For what a study would cost, I could pave 2 streets, so.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other questions, or?
No, I'd say, you know, I think a big reason why our streets are in such good shape is because of the planning you do, the grants that you get, and the coordination, and that doesn't go unnoticed, so thank you for that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the major thoroughfares, they're not that difficult to get our grants for, but, for multiple grants. But, you know, the neighborhoods where you're, you know, 400 cars a day, it's very tough to get a grant for
Yeah.
that. So we can use the grant, or the levy money as maybe our matching funds for the big roads, but, you know, the grant we get, then that frees up that levy money to go into the neighborhoods.
I think Ms. Alabek can attest to the fact too, that this is established at $1,037,000 and change, but that's for the 5 years. If new homes are built and additional tax revenue is generated, everybody else's will go down, not a lot, but it will continue to go down because the maximum we collect is the same for all 5 years.
Correct.
Good.
I'll make a motion to adopt the first reading of 52, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Lee, would you please read the title of ordinance 53-2024?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Canton to release the maintenance bond agreement between the city and McKinley Apple Grove Limited regarding improvements to be maintained in the sanctuary development, Phase 5, and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Okay, one second.
So I asked about this one the other day, and I asked Liam if he wanted to talk about it, but Rob, since you're here, if you don't mind just explaining what this is all about.
Absolutely. Where ordinances read, when developer comes, builds a subdivision, he first has to post the performance bond, which is basically his cost estimate to complete the neighborhood. And then after he builds the streets, the sewer, the water lines, once he builds those, we then reduce that to 10 cents on the original bond amount, which is the form of the maintenance bond, where we have that for 1 year, approximately, definitely a freeze-thaw cycle, to look at the roads, make sure they don't get any cracks or curbs, just anything that could go wrong is likely going to go wrong in that first year. Sanctuary Phase 5, that year of the maintenance bond period is up. We did have a small punch list of items that the developer took care of. So they've asked for the release of that maintenance bond. They've addressed a few issues we've had, so I would recommend that we go ahead and release that.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'll make a motion to adopt the first reading of 53-2024.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'll make a motion to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance 53-2024 under suspension of the rules.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liam, would you please read the title of ordinance 54-2024?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Canton to enter into a mutual aid agreement enabling the city of North Canton to join the Ohio Water/Wastewater Agency Response Network for the purposes of enhancing the city's preparedness and resilience against natural or human-caused disasters.
Okay, Jamie and the formerly rubbish utilities committee.
All right, well, we discussed this last week, so as it's stated in the description, this is for mutual aid in regards to some of these natural disasters, in regards to some of our sewer and wastewater. So I don't know that anything's changed. Is there any other questions or comments on this item? So with that, I would move for adoption of the first reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Liam, would you please read the title of ordinance 55-2024?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of North Canton to enter into a memorandum of understanding by and between the city of North Canton and the Stark Soil and Water Conservation District, effective for a period of 1 year beginning May 8th, 2024, for the purpose of providing technical assistance for the stormwater management and drainage and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Jane again?
All right, well, we talked about this one last week. Again, this is just something that we normally do. We join in with Stark Soil and Water for the management and technical assistance of drain water and for like new buildings and things like that. So nothing that we haven't done in the past, and I don't think anything has changed since last week. So, all right, seeing no questions or comments, I would move that we adopt the first reading of ordinance 54-2024.
It's 55.
55-2025, okay, or 4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll make the motion to suspend the rules of council requiring 3 readings. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance 55-2024 under suspension of the rules.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving on. We do not have anyone that signed up for public speaks. Let's do department reports. Let's start with Catherine, Director of Administration.
I don't think I really have a report tonight.
That's okay. Mayor, I know you've got one. Come on.
Sure do.
All right.
Thank you very much. No, I just really want to thank the following school crossing guards. Michael Friede, Antonios Granitsas, Gregory Maurer, and Jeff Kauderer. That's Kauderer. And I want to thank them for what they did in keeping our community safe and keeping and helping our school children get to and from school safely. They're out there in all kinds of weather, getting students, teachers, and parents to around safely. And even in the worst of weather, you can count on them because they put everybody else's safety first instead of their own. And I just want to again thank them for what they do. I sent thank you cards out to them for their last years of service and appreciate what they've done. Because sometimes I really forget about our school crossing guards. They're the ones that are standing in the traffic with their flags. Hopefully people will be stopping for them. And I can't tell you how many misses I'm sure they have had throughout their lifetime. But just wanted council to know that we are not, that they're not forgotten. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Gina, Finance.
I wanted to give you an update on Rita. So I want to give you a little synopsis. I know we all know what they do for us, but I'm going to just run down just a short list because I just think the services that they provide for us, and then I will tell you what our net cost was. They do annualize it and true it up at the end of every year, at the end of their tax year. So we did just receive that for '24, and their billing rate just keeps going down as far as a percent of collections. So obviously collections are going up, but the percent of their fee is not increasing with collections is my point. So the services they provide besides collections, obviously, compliance, legal services related to taxes, tax filing reminders, they send all the billing statements, they set up all the payment plans, send the delinquency notices. They use the IRS data exchange, and that program helps us identify non-filers if they were transient occupants, unreported income or underreported income either. If some of our people have address updates, they match those with the IRS data file. New businesses, we also find new businesses sometimes if they don't get our welcome packet or need a permit for anything. We find them this way as well. Online accounts, they have the e-file, and that's the majority of their business now. I know since before COVID, they have not been on site to help people with taxes. It seems to have not been a problem. They have a call center that's open, and they staff that adequately during tax season with extended hours. They have all documents now scanned for file retention, so it's easy access if you call to inquire about something. And I feel like the most impressive part is we could not have a tax department here to do all of these things for $112,000. So their fee is 1.08% of collections this year. Last year, I believe it was 1.33 or something. The year before that, it was 1.4. So it just continues to reduce as our collections go up. I understand that percentage calculation, but it's just pretty impressive for the services we receive from Rita. They are in, I believe, all but maybe 5 counties now in Ohio, as far as administering taxes. So that was just an update on them. As far as the monthly finance report, I just want to touch on a couple things. We've been keeping our eye on income tax because we're not real sure why our individual tax withholdings are lower than this time in the previous 3 or 4 years. We're at about 18% of collections, and normally our individuals are around 23%. For that,
I can tell you why.
you have extension, or you want extensions?
No, because Rita, and I'm thinking about this and I'm kind of getting mad about it because I'm gonna have to write a check, but they never send a Q2 statement.
Correct. Your year end includes.
Oh, you're talking year end. I thought we were talking about this moment in time. Okay.
But when you file, it includes, you can make your estimate payments for the first 2 quarters. You'll get your first billing statement third quarter.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't wait for that.
Because I'm sitting here thinking about, boy, I'm gonna be mad in July here, so.
If you file accounts, you can make those payments.
Okay, I'm sorry, I digress.
But I don't believe that's maybe why we're lower, because it hasn't changed. That's
Okay.
not something that has changed in the past. Now, it has come up in the past month. You know, May is our big month because April is the big month, and we're a month behind because Rita receives it, gives it to us. So it has increased, it has come up a little bit. We're still keeping our eye on that. I just can't explain why it's lower than in the past, especially with the way the economy is and the job market and all these other things, so.
We had more people on extension this year than we've ever had.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Okay,
and we had more late filers as well.
well, maybe that's why then.
Yep.
Okay. As far as our investments, you know, we have moved over to meter investments. It has been a pretty seamless transition. We're at 91% invested. That's higher than we've been in the past. We usually keep it around 85%. But knowing what we have as far as when debt payments are due, and that at some points during the year, we can be a little further invested. And so we're taking that opportunity right now. As rates go up, we'll invest more. As you know, we have lower ones coming off. So we'll keep you updated on that too.
Thank you. Clerk Lee?
Nothing major. Just gonna do my usual song and dance of asking the community to continue with the lead service lines. We are chugging along. Like Gina said, we just renewed for a little bit more money to keep our intern going for the end of the program, so that we can keep meeting our EPA mandated deadlines.
All right, thanks, Liam. Rob, you got anything for us?
I do.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, talk about some orange barrels. The biggest is the one that's been going on the longest is our roundabout at Portage and Charlotte. We are ready for our pavers. We were ready at the end of last week. Really, that's all that's left, that and then the striping. Our paving company, North Star Asphalt, will be in Thursday and Friday. They rearranged their schedule. I was hoping to have them a little earlier, but they're quite busy all over Northeast Ohio, and they rearranged their schedule just to get here then. So excited for that.
Do you anticipate it being open by the weekend then?
Probably not, because if they
Okay.
finish Friday, I still have to let the asphalt cool and then put all our striping down.
Gotcha.
Especially with the roundabout, all the arrows and dash lines and the striping.
Oh, that
Probably
would be fun
Monday.
without striping on that for the first time, first roundabout in town.
Yeah, no signs in the striping could make it a little interesting.
Roll up and
So yeah,
figure it out.
Yeah.
really, and the weather forecast looks good. So we're really shooting by the end of the day Monday.
Okay.
So I was
Perfect.
hoping that even have it by Friday was kind of my internal goal, but, and, you know, North Star just with their schedule, and yes, been dry the last few days, a little bit today, but they were so behind because of all the wet weather we had.
Mhm.
So we're not gonna be too far off from what I was hoping for. Today also, you probably saw on social media and on Facebook, we're starting our East Maple Street work. The first big piece is we have discovered through our street department and their videoing and flushing of lines that the sanitary sewer from Clearmount west to Woodside is basically shot. The sanitary we have on the south curb line, it's old clay pipe, it's cracked, it's leaking, the groundwater is infiltrating. So before we invest in repaving later this summer, we're getting that out of there. So we're gonna replace that first. I know it's an inconvenience. We're taking, you know, for the duration of the work, which should be 1 to 2 weeks. All the eastbound traffic is going down Woodside, over Clearmount, what's the east-west street down?
Fairview?
I think we're using Fairview, yeah, and then back up. So just little neighborhood, one block detours. But today really went without a hitch for the first day. And then westbound traffic is using Howard, Sutton, and Howard. But it's only closed westbound and working hours. The trend is far away from the westbound. When they quit working at 4, we'll open that back up. And then when we're done with that, we've got about 1,500 feet of concrete curb and gutter out there. We've done a lot of the north side last year. We'll do the north side from Woodside to Taft, and then we'll do the south side from Woodside to Taft, and then Woodside to Clearmount where the sewer is, and then there's another 100 feet on the other side of the school, east of the school. So we'll get all that done. Then we'll currently with that, we'll be bidding the paving portion, we'll mill 3 inches, put 3 inches back, all of asphalt. Fortunately for the paving part, our grant money really isn't based on the fiscal year, so we don't even have the grant until mid-July, when we can even award. So by the time you bid it, award it, the contractor gets out there and start, it's probably gonna be about the school starts. And I hate that, and the public kind of beats us up, and they don't understand the one grants are available, there's just one's available. It's kind of a flaw in our funding system, that we lose half the construction season based on that state or federal fiscal year, July 1st. But we still, obviously, that was in terrific shape. We want to get it in this fall. That's what we'll do. But yeah, we'll probably start right about when it's
Roundabout landscaping looks nice.
Yeah, we had rices in the Friday and Saturday. Did the plantings in the center island. So they did a very nice job.
Good news.
And the streetlights, in fact, I'm gonna go by after the meeting, they've been on since Friday, I haven't had a chance to see it. Cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan. All right, let's move on to council reports. Let's start with Jamie.
All right. Well, actually, I have an exciting update to share, and I hope my colleague Dave will allow me to brag on our people a little bit. But so I want you all to imagine, if you will, me wearing full fire gear, respirator, breaching doors, carrying 150 feet, or dragging 150 feet of hose. That's not at all what I did, but no, I did go on a ride along with the North Canton Fire Department, and it was really exciting. So as you know, I think a lot of us went into dispatch. I also did a ride along, and thank you, Chief Kemp, again for allowing me to do a police ride along, but I did a ride along with EMS on Friday, and it was pretty interesting. I showed up right around 5 o'clock, and as I was walking up to Station 2, the garage door is going open, and before we even got to exchange pleasantries, they're like, well, do you want to go with them? And so I went on my first call. In fact, I was still kind of processing, because within moments I'm in the back of an ambulance. I'm like, I had to text my wife. I'm like, man, I just got here. Did you hear the sirens? But so that was interesting and eye-opening, because what I shouldn't say it wasn't shocking, because what I saw was a high-functioning team. After we got back from that first call, we did go to Altman Hospital. I actually got to see doors being breached, not me doing it. We went over to Randy's Automotive, where they've been doing a lot of training. Actually got to see 2 firefighters in full gear, no smoke, but we had the lights out and the windows were blacked out, and simulated them going through the inside of Randy's in the office area. And they've got couches in there, they got a bed in there, and it was really exciting to see our firefighters doing that. It was incredible. And then after that, we took a fire truck down to Waterside and got to see them hook up, and within 3 minutes they had the truck pulled up, the fire hydrant connected, and they were already spraying at that point. I was kind of amazed, because I'm watching him hook up the fire hydrant, and off in the field we got guys spraying. It was just neat the way that they worked, and they one of the things that they shared with me is that they do a lot of training, and I think they kind of delayed some of the training so I could see some of it on Friday. It was really cool, really grateful, and then after that we spent a little time back at the firehouse before another call, actually at a nursing home. So, but it was a great experience. I want to give a big thanks to Liam and to Ben for helping set that up, and everybody at the North Canton Fire Department. Certainly, Chief Kramer and his assistance in allowing that to happen. So that was my story and my update for this evening.
Thank you. That's cool. David, I have no report this evening. All right. John.
Not too much happening in the ward right now. I wanted to give a shout out to the Hoover lacrosse team that went down to the Final Four for lacrosse, and all the athletes in Hoover. I think we did pretty good in girls and boys track. And the baseball team had a great year. So shout out to the Hoover athletes.
Yep. Stephanie.
No report.
Okay. Melissa.
Yeah, I also have a thank you to the folks at the fire department, so thanking them for welcoming members of the public for the first open house walkthroughs at Station 1 and Station 2. And also thank you to the citizens that we all nominated to serve on the focus group. So they'll have their first meeting this week, right?
Yep.
Yeah, first meeting this week.
I just got a calendar invitation adjustment that the meeting is at noon tomorrow. Ben changed it from 11.
Vindication, right? So noon tomorrow, they'll have their first meeting to start that process. Just thank you to everybody the folks at the fire station who welcome members of the public, but also the members of the public who came to see, what it looks like for themselves, and everyone who's participated in all of that so far. That presentation, Liam did a great job recording that PowerPoint along with all of the spoken information that went along with it, so you can watch that on the city's YouTube page or find that information on our website, because we really want to make sure that people have access to that information. I also want to thank the constituents who have reached out to me. I always enjoy when people reach out to me for different things, and I'm happy to help them connect with what they need or answer their questions. And I'm thankful for lots of the conversations that I've had about this particular issue, and just looking forward to what the focus group has to share with us. So thank you to all of those individuals.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Christina?
Just quickly want to share an update on the North Canton fireworks. The Chamber of Commerce graciously took that project over and committed to a $20,000 cost for those. They've currently raised $16,000 of that amount. Some notable donations: the Rotary Club of North Canton donated $5,000. IRG donated $3,000, which was surprising, I thought, but wonderful. So they need to raise another $4,000 to break even just on the cost of the fireworks and the insurance and those things. And then they've also put together a volunteer spreadsheet. They're going to need a lot of volunteers. So if you go to the northcantonfireworks.com, you can donate starting at $50 and sign up to volunteer the day after and the day of.
Great, thank you. Cool. All right. Johnny stole my sentiments on the Hoover Athletics for all that. And you guys took my fire stuff, thanking the committee. So, Chief Kemp, thank you. Sorry for putting you on the spot, but you looked interested in that conversation, so I appreciate it. Moving on to the, final call for new business. Seeing none, moving on. Moving to the calendar, on the 17th, there will be no meeting. On the 24th, we're going to have Committee of the Whole and City Council. And on July 1st, we're going to have a Committee of the Whole. I'm going to make a motion to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing sale of public property permitted by the Ohio Revised Code 121.22G2. Can I have a roll call vote?
We need a motion.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
We get a motion, right?
Yeah.
I'll give a second.
All in favor? Aye.
Or roll call vote.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Member Wire?
Yes.
That works.
Member Owens?
Yes.
Member Cleister?
Yes.
Member Story?
Yes.
Member Waring?
Yes.
Member Matheny?
Yes.
Member Ward?
Yes.
7 in favor.
All right, thank you. At this time, council is in executive session. Let the record reflect, council will be joined by the mayor, director of administration, director of finance, and the city engineer. Next page. And the clerk of council and the deputy director of finance. All right, adjourned for. I'll make a motion to adjourn from executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let the record reflect that no action was taken, and I'm going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in